The argument is made that trans women are women, for example. And what that seems to mean is that trans women are identical to women. Now, if people want to say trans women are not biological women, obviously that is the case. But people don't seem to want to say that.
Y'all are genuinely arguing about the wrong stuff. People seem to yell at each other that their definition is the correct one. Biological woman is the only correct definition. And that's the only thing that people are hung up on. And it's boring and repetitive. I want to actually address the new definition like a rational person who acknowledges subjective language and allows for definitions to want to change. They can change a definition if they want to. There's no point of yelling that a woman has a uterus and a man has a penis. It's not actually addressing the definition they're bringing up, which is why I'm going to try and do that. The transgender position. Two definitions for woman. First definition, biological woman and not human female. Second definition, gender, social construct of whatever a woman is. What is a social construct? A social construct is a phenomenon whose meaning and boundaries are created, maintained and changed through social interaction. Social construct is when a community collectively assigns a status function, Y, to a brute fact X within a rule-governed context C, such that Y would not exist without collective recognition. X counts as Y in context C. An example would be money. X, paper with certain markings, the brute fact. Y, the legal tender, status as money. C, a functioning economic system, context needed for Y to apply, the brute fact of X. Why the second definition of a woman doesn't respect this mapping by defining it as such. X isn't defined and is equivalent to Y. They attempt to define X, the brute fact in this context being their psychological orientation, attempting to define X as the psychological state of the person as a woman. But in truth, someone's psychological state as a woman is simply them believing they're a woman, as anyone can state it with no restraints, and what is necessary to be considered in the psychological state of a woman. This leaves it circular. The brute fact would be them stating they're a woman, Y would be them being recognised as a woman, and C would be everyone socially accepting it. To clarify, C isn't socially accepting the meaning of a woman, but socially accepting the status of a woman, meaning the condition isn't actually that everyone agrees that a woman is what they're defining it as, even though that is a condition, but that's not what they're referring to. They're referring to the condition everyone views them as a woman, but there's a difference. Now remember that X counts as Y in context C, so inserted, that would be they're recognised as a woman when they state they're a woman in the context it's socially recognised. This reduces the definition of a woman to someone who declares they are a woman, which is structurally equivalent to saying a woman is a woman. To give it any meaning, you need to define X with a brute fact that isn't a brute fact of its own definition, which is what defining it as itself is. In short, it's as if they were so fixated on categorising it as a social construct, they actually prioritised it over properly defining what a woman is, and ended up circularising it in the end anyway, by making the absolute basic mistake of accidentally defining the brute fact as itself, meaning identifying as a woman. If I define something as an object, it's simply incomplete on what the object actually is. You don't know anything about the object at that point. You just know what category it falls under, and you don't even know if that category is correct if you don't know the definition of it. Anyway, that's about everything I had to say, really. I didn't specify at the start that it was going to be such a syllogistic argument, but I wanted to get straight to it. I probably won't be doing any more videos like this. I don't feel obligated to be subscribed unless, there's lots of support or anything that asks me to do it again. My goal was to just try and tackle it as precisely as possible, but do it properly, unlike the people you see online that just seem to go face in, yelling at each other, terrible arguments. Anyway, tell me if I succeeded, and if you want to see more, and goodbye.